Hola, gents! Exclamation points. Given the APU advancements AMD has made since the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles were launched, is it possible, feasible, doable for Xbox to launch a handheld with a modern AMD APU that can either emulate or match the performance of an Xbox Series S rather? This way, Xbox could release a handheld this holiday season that merely replaces the Series S and still launch a proper next-gen handheld when the next gen eventually arrives. Can we have both our cake and eat it too, or am I just serving myself a savoury slice of opium? Good day, gents! Exclamation point. Oliver, you spend a good deal of time with your ROG ally, so what do you think about this one?
I think it is a bit of a slice of hopium. I think it would be too power hungry.
Sweet or savoury?
Yeah.
I guess savory. Slice of opium sounds more sweet to me, but maybe it's savory. When you look at like RDNA 3 on 5 nanometers, it's not that much more efficient than RDNA 2 on 6 or 7, which makes me think that this wouldn't be that compelling from a power consumption perspective if they did like a 5 nanometer APU, which is currently what's on the table for AMD APUs. I think it would take one more shrink or two more shrinks, really. Even 3 nanometers, I'm not sure if that would do it. I kind of doubt it because, I don't know, the 3 nanometer process, when you look at like the Apple A17 Pro, it didn't really do much for Apple. So I'm kind of wondering if it's just suffering some issues with leakage and whatnot that we see with some of these new processes that come online, especially without like the gate all-around transistor design or whatever they're going to be debuting for, I think, 2 nanometers. So I would tend to think that it's probably outside the question for a device that's releasing like this holiday season. But, down the line, I'm sure we'll see something that can match that performance spec, but I just don't think it'll be that soon.
Mm-hmm. I tend to agree. If you look at what the Series S power consumption is, it's like, it's significant. It's like 80 to 100 watts system-wide. And, a shrink will get you, let's be extremely generous about it. Let's say that each shrink halves power consumption. You're going to need 2 shrinks to get that down to like 20 watts, which is still arguably too high. But you're not going to be getting halving of power consumption each shrink. So I think it's quite a way down the road. There are different ways to approach the problem. Mm-hmm. But fundamentally, I still think, stuff like ROG Ally is... you have to reduce resolution and reduce frame rate to get those games playable. And, that has had the benefit of a major process shrink versus the 7 nanometer in the Series S.
Right.
So I think it's going to be some time before you can do that, just from a power consumption perspective. And 20 CUs, I think that's got the Series S getting that down into a manageable mobile form factor. I think that's quite a significant undertaking as well. So I think there's a lot of hopium, and it's not going to be sweet.
I think of converging technologies here, just because I'm thinking about Switch 2, where instead of if it wouldn't be like the exact same, but maybe what if it's smaller, has less CUs, but it runs Series S profile games, but instead maybe use AI upscaling. So it's spending its power to get that maybe a certain resolution, not with generic compute, which is like more power hungry, but it's using fixed function hardware to help out that performance, that power draining performance there. I don't know, but I'm all of your mind here. I think this is it's unrealistic for the next 2 years, probably.
Yeah, I think the other thing to bear in mind is that, you don't really need Series S quality on a 6-inch screen, to be brutally frank. I mean,
you don't.
That's the reason why I think the Switch 2 is going to do really, really well, because, it's basically everything will be built up for that particular form factor. And you kind of see it borne out on the handhelds that we're seeing in the PC space. You can get away with outrageous things that you would never do for a desktop monitor or a TV. And it still works. It still looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
So, I just think, handhelds are designed specifically with efficiency in mind, getting the job done with various nips and tucks that suit that particular form factor. I don't think you need to be targeting parity with Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
Anything extra to add to that, Oliver?
I think you can already get a lot closer to that if you just change your display target from 4K to 720p. That gives you a lot, or even 1080p. Now, we're not talking about strictly like running Series S software at the same quality level, obviously. But if you are decreasing that target resolution, all of a sudden you do open yourself up to the possibility that something like a 7840U could deliver a Series S class experience in a game like Starfield, for instance. You know, you can run that at roughly, FPS, Series S quality settings at 1080p with FSR2 performance mode. It looks great on a ROG Ally. At 30 FPS, that's a very satisfying experience. Now, is it the same as Series S? No. But is it a great visual experience that will hold up well compared to a Series S, certainly when considering the difference in screen size between those two devices? Absolutely, I think so.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to give you an asset that I'm working on at the moment from my current project, which is looking at handhelds. So I was sharing some shots with the team on the Slack channel yesterday. But this is Alan Wake 2 running on a 1X player, 7840U based machine, 25 watts. And we can match the settings, right, but lower the resolution. So performance mode, PlayStation 5, Alan Wake 2, that is FSR2 balance mode upscaling to 1440p. And we're doing the same thing with various FSR2 quality levels on the handheld, but going up to 720p. And you can see, I think, in the based on like for like balanced mode versus balanced mode, you're only getting 54% of the performance of the PS5, even though you're using upscaling, and even though we're at 720p. However, what I did next was to compare the performance mode settings on the handheld with that resolution downgrade versus the quality mode on PlayStation 5, which is upscaling to 4K. And you can see that actually now we're producing very similar performance to the PlayStation 5 version. And yes, there are quality downgrades, but you probably wouldn't notice them on a handheld screen. So yeah, I mean, the point is you can still play Alan Wake 2 on a handheld. Power hungry in the here and now, but maybe not in the future. But yes, that's that.